The art of video editing is evolving, and with it, so are the paths to becoming a professional video editor. Today, we're shifting our focus to the different journeys of two talented video editors who have carved their paths in this dynamic industry. How do people with two different paths achieve the same goal? How did they find their way into video editing, and what challenges and triumphs did they encounter along the way? Join us as we welcome Naomi Duperon and Fred Schneider to the show, where we'll delve into their experiences, creative processes, and the unique perspectives they bring to the table. This conversation promises to be a treasure trove of insights for anyone wanting to learn how to get their foot in the door, or a great listen if you're passionate about video creation. I'm thrilled to dive into this episode of Render Time. As we explore the different editing journeys of our guests, we'll uncover not just their stories, but also the essence of creativity in B2B content. Each episode brings a new host and fresh voices from editors to graphic designers and videographers, all sharing their experience in the latest trends in content creation. I'm Carrie Goodison, a video editor for MarketScale, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Joining me today are two of my fellow MarketScale video editors, Naomi Duperon and Fred Schneider. Welcome to Render Time.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So starting with Naomi, do you guys each want to give a brief introduction? Tell us a little bit about how long you've been at MarketScale, how you got started here?
Yeah, well, my name's Naomi Duperon. I've been working at MarketScale for around 2 years, I think reaching almost 3. And I started out as an animator, and I worked myself up from that to a video editor. Now I'm working at MarketScale.
My name is Fred Schneider, and I've been with MarketScale for about a year. And I semi-retired from the city of Kansas City, Missouri, their city TV channel. And I've really enjoyed my time with MarketScale.
Awesome. So first, let's talk about your lives before video editing. What did you do before you became a video editor, if anything, and what made you transition into the video editing world?
I've been producing, directing, writing, editing video for almost 30 years now. And I was with the city of Kansas City for 15 years. And I've done a lot of working with city governments. I worked for the city of Thousand Oaks in California, and I really enjoyed that kind of working for a municipal entity, and it's been a lot of fun. That's what I was doing before MarketScale.
I used to live in Thousand Oaks, so that was
Is that right?
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make it out to California one day. All right, Naomi, how about you?
Well, I used to be more focused on animation rather than editing back then, so there wasn't really any specific thing that caught my eye editing-wise. But I did, however, remember to slightly begin to take more interest in editing when I began to see rise in YouTube gameplays and all that. And I loved how funny and engaging they were, and I like to make people laugh, so just decided to try to edit some videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I started out just with YouTube and stuff too. I did it as a kid, just making stupid little music videos and stuff like that. But that's when I realized, I was like, okay, I kind of like this. So Naomi, I know you said you had gotten your start in YouTube and watching YouTube videos on gaming. But Fred, was there a moment where you saw a video or a film or something like that and it made you realize that you wanted to create something like that?
If I was to think of a movie that really, made a difference to me when I was a kid, it would be Gone with the Wind.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's 85 years old this year, and I think it's held up pretty well. I think they say it's still, if you adjust the inflation rate, I think it's the highest grossing film ever. It just is a magnificent coming together of all the crafts and all the talent in it. The casting is absolutely perfect. and you can't imagine any other person playing any other roles. It's just a wonderful film. I think I saw it 13 or 14 times
Oh, wow.
in my life. So yeah.
That's a good one. I know that's one of my mom's favorites.
Yeah.
There was a book too, right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Started as a book by Margaret Mitchell. And I guess it just, kind of took America by storm. And then they made this film. They, the lead role of Scarlett O'Hara, they auditioned 1,400 actresses.
Wow.
And they settled on Vivian Leigh she was from England. And they only considered one actor to play the lead, the male lead, and that was Clark Gable. And you look at the film and you go, nah, nobody else could play those roles. So.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys remember the first video that you edited and what it was?
Well, when I was growing up, we didn't have home video. So the first thing I edited would have been film. Families back in the late 60s, early 70s, we had movie cameras. When you talk about making a home movie, they're actually movies. And so our family had a movie camera and a movie projector, an old Bell and Howell projector, I remember very well. And I was just enamored with it from the start. And I used to collect movies, and you could do that. There was a company called Black Hawk Films, and I could as a kid, I just couldn't wait until the next mailer would come and it would advertise the different things that you could buy. And I'd buy these silent movies of Charlie Chaplin and Laurel and Hardy and things like that. And I would show them up on the wall in my bedroom and have family members come in and watch. And that's, when I look back, I think that's how I knew I was a producer. I wanted to show people things up on the screen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember those Charlie Chaplin. I had to watch all those in film school. I went to UNC Wilmington, and we watched all the silent films. It took a bit to get used to them, but they're good. Yeah. How about you, Naomi?
Well, mine's a little completely different. I had like a really old YouTube channel, like around 5th grade, so like beginning. That time I was like really into making, the videos in MS Paint and using like still images to make like animations and stuff. So I was like really into that. So basically the first editing program was like, good old Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
Where I edited animation, text, and all that. And first one I did was like it was 15 years ago, and it was a little dumb video that I made for my friend, for my friend's birthday. So yeah, like it started from there, and I really didn't I was more concentrated on animation, so I was like focused on that. But then like it slowly evolved into like, wow, I actually like editing a little. it kind of like went from there on. But yeah.
Good old Windows Movie Maker. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I actually found, my dad has this old hard drive from back when I was a kid, and he has all my old like music videos that I used to make for YouTube on there. And I found my Windows Movie Maker like project files, and I tried downloading the old Windows Movie Maker to see if I could open the project file, but they're too far gone, so I couldn't do it.
They're too old. Oh my gosh.
So did you guys pursue any formal education in video editing or film production in general, or were you guys self-taught?
I have a bachelor's in drama from the UC Irvine, and I kind of had to decide whether I wanted to pursue theater or pursue mass communication, and I have a master's in that from Regent University in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
So I was 100% self-taught. Like I mentioned before, like I did study animation. That was like my first study animation, computer animation in my university. I slowly found my love for video editing along the way. Not only working for a social media agency, but I worked in projects that I edited in the university. And also, well, MarketScale is usually where I learned like the majority, because surprisingly, I didn't even know what a mogurt was.
I didn't.
I didn't know anything.
I had no idea. The first time they brought up a mogurt, I literally Googled it and pretended I knew what it was.
Same. Same. Until this day, you know, I'm always trying to look and keep learning and whatnot, and looking for ways to improve my edits. So yeah, it's always self-taught since the beginning. So
Awesome.
I have to say, I didn't know what a mogurt was till a year ago. So
We're all on the same.
we're all confessing.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, these people are way ahead of me. So. So how did the experience, Fred, with you going into school in drama and then Naomi being self-taught, how did that shape your skills? And Naomi, do you have any regrets about not going to school? Fred, do you have regrets about going to school? Do you wish you would have just taught yourself?
I would have liked to realize that like I was becoming very fond of editing like much before like early on, to get like the opportunity to study it, because I would have probably had like much more knowledge about it than being self-taught. But I don't regret it, because I also studied animation. It's kind of like linked to, you know, the art in the same route. So I'm still either way learning along the way. So slight regret, but not complete.
I think for myself, I don't have any regrets for the path I took of going to school. I think what's something that's kind of interesting about when I was in school for my master's degree is that there were definitely two sides. There was the film side and the TV side, and the two communities. I mean, it was the same community, but the film people weren't the TV people, and basically, I think I really had to make a decision at the time. Because it was a totally different track of, skills and so forth. And I'm glad I went with TV. I think the people who went with TV, I think we just wanted to eat. That was it. Film. I think film. There's opportunities out there, but you have to do a lot of, you got to go to LA or New York or whatever sometimes, and pay your dues and all that stuff. But it seemed to me like, well, there's a TV station in just about there's probably 3 stations in, just about every major, semi-major market. And so there's a lot of jobs out there for TV. That's what the path I took. And I'm happy I took that path.
So did you guys have any mentors or industry professionals or just people in general who guided you in your early days? And how did they impact your development as an editor, if so?
I personally did not, because all mine were inclined to animation, but would have loved to.
I had I don't know a mentor, but an advisor. His name was Dr. Harry Sova, and he was just a great guy. And he had something important to tell me. When you go for a master's, you're kind of thinking, well, someday I could teach this. That's why you would get a master's degree. And he said, if you want to teach, don't. He said, you don't want to go into teaching. He said, it's a lot of politics and a lot of bureaucracy and so forth. So, he said, get out there and make TV, make film, and I took that advice. So
Awesome.
I think it was good advice.
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
So what was your first job in video editing, if it wasn't for MarketScale like mine was? And how did you land it?
Well, actually, I kind of had an interesting start. I went to work for a company called Blink Media in Norfolk, Virginia. They were post house, and we did a lot of car commercials and a lot of ads for, local companies on cable and stuff like that. And one day I actually was in prayer and the words antiques and collectibles came to my mind, and out of nowhere. And I had never heard, those words put together or anything like that. And so I went to Barnes and Noble and I walked in, and it's up on the wall, antiques and collectibles. And I didn't even know it's a whole hobby area, but they had a whole section, and I started looking through the books, and I found a book there that was a directory of, it was kind of like a phone book or whatever, where it was like the top collectors of any collectible you can think of were listed in there. And the guy who put it together lived not too far away. And I just took this idea and I pitched it to my boss, and I said, what if we did an antiques and collectibles show? And this was before, the Antiques Roadshow. This was in the days prior to that. So anyway, he said, yeah, I'll put some money to that. Go and interview this guy. So I went up and did an interview with him. And lo and behold, it turned into 2 years of doing a series called Collecting Across America. And it was a show I wound up being the producer and director of, and we did 24 episodes. And I took teams all around the country, and we shot all kinds of different, anything you can imagine, and had some celebrities on there. We had Debbie Reynolds on there. We had Richard Petty on there.
Oh, wow.
And Steve Sansweet. I don't know if you know Star Wars collectibles, but he's the archivist for Lucas, and we got to see all kinds of fascinating things. So that was a real quick, kind of jump into an incredible opportunity that just fell into my lap. So
That's awesome. Is there somewhere that we would be able to watch that, or maybe we could put a little snippet here? No? Okay.
This was before YouTube.
Okay.
And I think these, tapes are somewhere in somewhere. But I was shown all over the country. It was sponsored by the U.S. Postal Service. And yeah, and now, I don't have much to show for it. We've got some clips I'm showing here, but that's it. I wish that, I could look at those old episodes.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Naomi? What was your first job in video editing, if not MarketScale, and how'd you land it?
Well, mine's a little bit interesting. Surprisingly, I wasn't hired specifically for video editing. It kind of like segued into it with my first job on working on it. My husband worked at like a place that had connections with a small social media agency, and I originally worked for them as a freelancer, making animated lip syncing for a supermarket commercial. So I applied as an animator since, they already knew my work and I already worked with them in that. And when I interviewed them, they recognized me and they liked what I had to show. But for some reason, I was hired as a graphic designer though, and I took it anyways. And then from graphic designer, I went editing. They're like, oh, hey, we have some, because we worked with a few clients. So I was like, oh, they want some videos for social media. And then that's when I started like working more focused on video editing. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I like this. I prefer this than graphic design, because graphic design, I was zero knowledge. I don't know why they got me on that. I took the opportunity because it was the first time in the creative industry. And I was like, yeah, this is to learn. I like doing that. And even if I have to like investigate deep on Google and see how to do this. And from there, I started working, at least the clients that the small social media agency had. They had like Porsche, they had Ferrari and all that. And I edited like very small clips of like, the car just going on the side, and then like, the intro, outro. And from there, I was like, oh, these are fun. I prefer this than graphic design, because that was more printing, more focused on very specific things that I was, my brain did not work for that. So yeah, it's pretty much a segue to something rather than like I was hired as a video editor, and I actually enjoyed it much more. And that's where I kind of like started getting the like for it.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I know nothing about graphic design, so That's cool though that they hired you with you, wanting to be an editor. So,
Yeah, no, it was animator from graphic design to editor.
okay. Very cool.
Very strange, but yeah.
So, do you guys have any certain way that you describe your editing style?
I would say one thing is I edit to music. Music I think is so important. If it's a creative piece where the music is integral, I think that's the most important choice that I make. And once I find the right piece, it's kind of like all downhill from there. I don't have to struggle very much. I usually look for a piece of music that has variety in it. Maybe has some hits in it that we can do something with video or whatever, it changes tempo or something like that. I do a lot of that.
Awesome. How about you, Naomi?
I would agree with Fred on that one because I do very similar. I let myself based on the music that I choose. If it's like a documentary style cinematic, or if it's corporate, if it's comedic, the music is what guides me through what I should do based on the edit. At least for me personally, I usually do punchy, engaging, mostly comedic because that's my favorite type of video to edit. And like creative decision, depend on what type of project I'm working on, like I mentioned. And yeah, pretty much like music is what's the main guide, at least for me. But yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. That's usually the first thing I do is pick the song and then I let the video flow based off of that. So, all right, we're moving into our last question. So, what is your favorite edit that you've worked on for MarketScale or an outside project, and why was this one your favorite?
I got one, but Fred, you can go first because you give me confidence to speak.
well, I think my favorite that I've done for MarketScale is for a client. They wanted to let viewers know about their software, which is autonomous driving, self-driving car software, and that they're entering Europe. And the concept that the client had was of a little picture of a car traveling on a map of Europe. And that just kind of sounded jinky to me. It just doesn't sound like something that would look very good. Mm-hmm. And so I just took it in a totally different direction and used some clips of Europe and stuff like that, and edited to music and so forth. And I got dinged by the QC. They said, you haven't done anything that they've asked for. And I said, well, I know, but I just said, could you please just let it be shown to the client? And they loved it. So
very cool.
I felt justified, and I feel like if you in your gut have a conviction about something's going to be really good, I say go for it, but be ready to justify your decisions and also be okay with them saying we don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do it the way we want. Yeah.
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 Naomi, how about you?
So I'm always gonna love this video that I did for my wedding. It was like the style of the office was like very in the beginning. But the one that I did for MarketScale is gonna stay with me because that one was, I think, one of the first ones that I got that I was like, oh, I'm gonna have fun with this. It was a video it was like a short teaser, and I enjoyed it so much because they told me, hey, make it funny, make it professional, but make it funny. And I'm like, okay, it's time. Mm-hmm. It's time to do it. And yeah, it was just like, it was a way to be like, okay, time to use the funny, because I usually use a lot of like PNGs and like very punchy and over the top comedy. But I was like, okay, let me mix that with the professional version. And yeah, they liked it a lot. It was fun for me. It was fun for them.
That's great.
Sweet. So you said outside of the MarketScale project, you edited your own wedding video?
Yeah, it was basically just like a little intro because now I actually kind of want to edit the whole, wedding video, but it was just a little intro because I wanted it to be like The Office
Yeah.
themed. So I just took like the little clips and I made like how do you say it? I made the little thing that said instead of The Office, it said The Wedding.
Oh, very cool.
And just put the music over and yeah, that was a
Cute.
fun one too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to edit my own wedding video. I actually had someone, because I just started getting into like videography for weddings and stuff. I've only done a few so far, but I had someone I went to school with. We edited together, and she was like, "Hey, would you come film my video? But I just want to edit it myself." I was like, "Sure, sounds easy for me." So thank you so much to Naomi and Fred for your time. And to the viewers, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the MarketScale Creator Community YouTube channel to stay up to date on MarketScale's render time tips and future podcast episodes.